Commissioner Veer.
Here.
Commissioner Posey.
Here.
Commissioner Weber.
Here.
Commissioner Lacey. President Opid.
Here. Are there any changes or announcements?
No.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. Just my own announcement. Happy spring. Happy allergy season. It is terrible out there. But it's a good excuse to go in the parks. Today was beautiful, 75 degrees. I hope people made it out. I did, and it was amazing today. So with that, why don't we start and head to agenda item 2, the administration of oaths.
Okay, so we have a couple of returning board members.
Do it again.
You do.
Every time, man.
Every time. And then our newest board member, Commissioner Carter. So I'll ask you all to come and stand in front of the tables here. And then I am going to give you this one. Okay, so we are going to read the oath that you're taking to fill this position. So you're going to say "I" and then say your name. We're going to do it together. Yeah,
I, Robert,
it's going to be a
first
group.
Did you want to read it?
Go ahead if you want to read it together.
Sure. I solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the position of Commissioner of the Park District of Grange, County, Illinois, according to the best of my ability.
Perfect. So that now makes you an official commissioner. Thank you for your recruiting. Thank you for your participation. You get one, and we get one.
Oh, second.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Excellent. Welcome. It's nice to have a full board tonight. Our chairs filled. And welcome Ryan as the newest member. Let's move to agenda item 3, communications. We'll start with public comments. This is your opportunity to share comments with the board. 3 minutes per person. I will open the floor. Please state your name and address before your comments. I'll open the floor. Any comments this evening?
Carla, you want to say something? Okay.
I'm just so, as Carla Carter, I'm Brad's wife, I'm just so proud that he serves his community.
That sounds right. Great. Any other additional comments this evening? All right, hearing none. Let's move on. We're going to have a presentation, really a referendum update by Whiten Company. So I'll let Patty and Gage. I'll let Patty and Gage start the presentation.
So it's more than just a presentation. It's really more of an update. We have Eli. Can you pronounce your last name for me, Eli? Rogaz from Testing Solution Corporation 2 here. So they are here tonight to help us discuss some items that were some items that were found at Sedwick during the environmental testing. So when we start these projects, we do environmental testing. So we did the first round and we had some metals come back testing positively and some PAHs come back testing positively. So we went out for a second round of testing. And they did a little bit of property review and they looked back to 1908. And this is from 1938. And what they found was what they believed to be a quarry on the northeast corner of Sedwick. We're talking about Sedwick. And within that came back some metals and PAHs. Eli, do you want to talk a little bit about what was found?
Yeah.
So my name's Eli Rogetz. I'm a licensed professional geologist and the environmental department manager at Testing Service Corporation. We did all of the environmental investigation, the geotech for all the park sites. So for this site in particular, our initial investigation, we collected boring across the entire property, and one of those was submitted for analysis. Now, the reason we submitted that one sample for analysis was it showed some unusual materials like coal and slag, some broken glass, things like that that we just wouldn't normally expect to see at a site like this. So based on those results, the sample results did show relatively high metal concentrations. So that's going to be, they're called recro metals. So those are the kind of most common pollutants that we come across. And then PAHs are going to be things that are incomplete combustion products. So things like coal, ash, slag, tar, any kind of low-grade petroleum product is probably going to come up as a PAH. So based on that initial sample result, where we did find traces of that, we went out and collected an additional round of samples. So we went out and collected 24 samples, all in that area that's currently marked out in orange. All of these samples were meant to look at really the top 5 feet of soil in that area to see if, well, one, if there were any other of these, what we call deleterious fill materials present, or if the area was free of the impacts that we saw in that one boring location. So the results of that, we found pretty similar types of exceedances across the entire area. So that's going to be, again, your metals and PAHs. We also found some call it waste products, so things like metal and glass, wiring, fabric, things that would indicate, somebody or someone was using this as a dumping site for a certain period of time. So based on what we found, essentially the area shown on the screen contains some quantity of impacted fill materials. So, not necessarily all of the issues, but some of the issues were identified within that area. Based on what we know now, there is about a foot of topsoil over this entire area that's acting as a cap, so that is providing some protection from everything underneath. However, we do know beneath that cap is where we're starting to come into contact with that fill, and that goes down about 12 feet at the deepest location, so a pretty significant depth.
Yeah.
And that's really what we found during our investigation so far.
Thanks, Eli. Go ahead.
So if I'm understanding, and I read the board packet as well, so the materials that when you were boring down, those are from like the early 1900s, is that right?
I believe so. So
Okay.
when we were doing the aerial review, it seemed that about 1950 is when the park was developed in its current state.
Okay.
So we believe everything was placed before then, and then since that time, it's been there in place and has been undisturbed.
Okay.
And I do want to preface that it is safe right now. There is a barrier, so Sedwick Park is safe. But it doesn't, the 1 foot barrier doesn't really meet EPA's standards, which is 3 feet. So we have some options. One of the options is you can remove it and up to 18 inches and put in a special barrier. And then haul off and refill with, I think we can still use the 12 inches of soil.
It is clean.
Yeah, and so we'd have to bring in 6, but that was $7 million. It was quite expensive to do that option. So the other option is we can bring in 2 feet of soil and do some grading to make it meet that 3 feet. And I'll let Patty and Gage kind of talk about this option here.
Okay. So part of what we were trying to do was to so first and foremost, the park needs to be safe, right? When we're done, right, it has to remain a safe place to recreate. So we understand the importance of the open space. We also didn't necessarily didn't feel comfortable putting in foundations in an area where we have this contamination. So we felt like there would be a better approach if we relocated some of the pieces of the puzzle. Like, for instance, we would like to recommend a new senior field out of that space and essentially replace that in the prep field location. So we're working on a few concept updates. We're not quite ready to share all of them with you. We've been thinking about this just for a couple weeks. Not that we're holding back information, but just it takes us that long to get our heads around it. I imagine you're going to go through that same process. We don't want to dump all of this on you at once, so we're going to talk about step by step. So we do feel like bringing in another 2 feet of soil to cap this area is a really good approach. That's going to add about $1.3 million to the cost. But ultimately then, that 3 feet of topsoil meets the EPA standard for a protected cap. And we were talking with Eli about working with the EPA and going through the SRP, which is the site remediation process.
Program.
Program.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, see, I'm learning so much.
And that is 7.1 in your board packet. So there is a proposal to go through the SRP for a no further remediation.
Right. We think that's an important step for you to do because it lets your community know that you've met all the requirements of the EPA, the site remains safe, we've added the additional cap. When the park was built, these regulations weren't in place, right? So it's not like we need to point fingers at whoever held the property before, but times have changed. We have better rules now, more guidelines to follow. So we want to make sure that we can do that. Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
On the earlier picture from 1950, you said 1938.
38.
Mm-hmm.
Can you decipher like how deep that is just by the picture, or is that not possible?
The best thing we have to go off of is our current boring logs, and so that's where we saw the 12 feet of, I guess we'll call it junk.
Yeah.
And then once we got past that, we started to get back into what is native to that area. So we think it's about 12 feet at its deepest.
Did we
Okay.
get bedrock on some of those?
I think we did, yeah.
Yeah, on a couple. So we actually, not everywhere, but on some of them, we actually hit bedrock. So we know that that's the extent of it.
So like that one white spot, would you guess that that's the deepest spot that they had, or?
Yeah, I think that does line up with where our borings were. So in that area, essentially, yeah, I would say the lowest spot.
Questions? Yes.
So, as I was looking through the material and listening to you, it makes me think of we live in Grange. Our homes many of them are over 100 years old. And so when you buy a new home, you have to assume that you probably have knob and tube electrical, that if you open a wall, you're going to have to take care of it.
What you're talking about.
If you
I
live
have a
here in Grange,
1952 Cape Cod, so yes.
And then also, similarly, if you open up a wall, sometimes you might find asbestos-like materials, but if it remains closed,
Correct.
it's safe. But once you open it to do any sort of renovations, like we are doing here, is that a fair, analogy in this case?
Yes, and part of what we want to do is not disturb the soil, the contaminants that are there. We'd really like to just leave it where it is.
So I guess then my follow-up question is, as I'm understanding, we don't have enough information yet to formulate a plan, which is what I'm hearing you say, that's why you're not giving us a plan, because you don't have one yet.
We're getting close. We're getting close to one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just don't have it to share with you tonight.
Yes, and I
So-
understand that. It's not, and I appreciate that, that this isn't a workshop. But what I am curious about is, given the size of the location and given that we want to try to keep the plan, is there such a thing where, in a home, maybe we choose not to open up a wall, or does the plan basically have to be, we have to take care of that entirety of the area, or can we choose where we do it, even though we know that if we start digging, that we're disturbing something that now under current law requires us to do more than what was required probably when the park came into existence.
The current, and Eli, you jump in if I speak incorrectly, the current standard for the EPA is to have either 18 inches of clean soil over an impenetrable barrier or 3 feet of clean soil. We don't particularly like the barrier option because you can't plant trees, right? Because you can if you put the 3 feet of soil. We can still have it look and act and work as a functional park that is in fact safe. We're just going to add a little more soil to the top. So we're trying to understand and help give you the most functional and safe and provide all the recreation things that we have talked about, that we sold the referendum on. I mean, there's still a piece of this that's like, well, I still feel really obligated to give you guys everything that we said that you could have. So we're just trying to work through those pieces. Unfortunately, to make the entire site meet the current EPA standards, we do have to cover that whole yellow zone with another 2 feet of fill. Okay? That gets us our clean site, so it's capped properly. Jenny's going to put a giant note in the folders that says we're not going to disturb this area in the future, right? So it's great for soccer fields, wonderful for growing grass, we can add more trees, we can put paths on it, so there's still a lot of recreation amenities that we can put in it, but I don't want to put in foundations, I don't want to put in sports lighting, light poles that penetrate that depth, so.
Essentially, that senior field will be gone, and it will be a soccer field, it will be green space, and then prep field will become a larger field. So essentially we will be going down to 3 fields, baseball fields at Sedwick Park. So again, we're still working on some of those plans. The other items, the multi-sport court and the sand volleyball court will still remain. The one item with the increased cost, and because there is the contamination that we found, the dog park, we will probably no longer be putting in, A, because we don't have money, and B, because of the current site conditions. But mostly because of the funding. Like we're going to have to try to find things to pull out because we have to make this park safe. Again, it is safe, but we want to make it safe for the future generations.
We want to meet the current EPA standards is what we're trying to accomplish, which gives us an NFR letter as a no further remediation letter that's issued by the EPA, which is an important document for you to have in your files.
Right. So 7.1 is action old business or new business. 7.1 is going to be the site remediation program, the SRP proposal, and that would be for testings, TSC to come in and do 3 additional different testings to help us obtain that no further remediation, and that cost is approximately $43,000. So staff is recommending that we move forward with that process so we can get it started. We did meet with Cook County today, the environmental and sustainability. They do have a brownfield restoration program, so we are trying to figure out if they can assist us with, it's not necessarily funding, it's funding. They help send in contractors, so they don't give you money, but they can help you with work to be done if we qualify. So we met with them this morning. There's also maybe some funding through the IEPA, so we're going to look at that, and then we'll also try to reach out to some of our elected officials. While I don't have it in this board packet, the OSLAD grant is still not off the table, but again, until we really have a more concrete plan of what we're doing at Sedgwick, we weren't ready to present that proposal at this time.
Still have time. Those are due at the end of September.
Yeah. So, but again, this is where grants become critical to our funding. We need these matching grants so we can help stretch our dollar, especially when we run into situations like this. So, Patty and Eli and Gage are here to answer any questions that you might have at this time with the information we have now. But essentially, when we get to 7.1, we are hoping the board will approve moving forward with the site remediation program.
ask a question, or is it just?
Yeah, you can talk during public comments.
Question?
Yes.
So, when I was reading this, I thought there was a possibility we could keep it as is. Is that off the table now, with all the information we have?
Do you have $7 million?
No. What I was saying is keep it as it is and not
We
do anything.
nothing.
Oh,
So you would not meet, the site currently does not meet this EPA standard for the cap.
I understand.
So
No.
we
Okay.
would really recommend, at this point, we would recommend that you meet that standard.
I think it's like a house again. So like if you know
I mean, if you
You're
have
just
asbestos,
like,
you
right.
can keep asbestos.
passing it,
Right.
you can, but then you still have to, if you ever sell it or if you pass it off, like you have, that's what you're doing. You have to acknowledge.
There's a lot of asbestos floors, but.
and
Right.
Well, so to address that a little bit, I guess the process that we proposed would be kind of your building inspection process. So the thing that would go in to identify any potential problem, quantify it, figure out how bad it is, and then that's what we would be essentially presenting to the EPA to say, hey, this is what the current situation is, this is what we're looking to do to address it, and that they either concur, disagree, agree, and that's kind of their opportunity to weigh in on what we're doing. So that's the voluntary part of the site remediation program, is we are going to the EPA with our plans, presenting this, telling them what we'd like to do, and essentially asking them, to weigh in and approve that. So what you have in your document, the 7.1, that's to do that baseline assessment so that we can get all the necessary information into the EPA and kind of start that process.
And then on the zone area, does that be further defined? Is it possible it could be smaller or?
Yeah, that's definitely something that, based on what we have now, we were going off the aerial image and our sample results. Those limits can certainly be shrunk down to as far as possible. While we're digging, if we're not coming across anything bad, then that certainly doesn't need to go. We're really just focused on what should be there, and anything else can stay. We did do testing across the other portions of the park, and those are all good. There's no issues. So, we did pretty much confirm that it's really just this one portion of the park that we'd have to worry about.
And I do want to be transparent. So this is the first portion, and then once we get through this testing, there would be an additional test that we would have to complete as well. Correct, Eli?
So the next stage, after the next stage, then you'd be more to the remediation point. So that would actually be removing soil, bringing it in, doing any testing to support that process. Essentially, the testing is to make sure the soil you're bringing in isn't any worse than the stuff you're bringing out. So it's all a verification process, but essentially all of that information, along with soil totals, quantities, goes to the EPA. Once they have a chance to review that, that's when they would issue the NFR and any controls that would go onto the property. So that would include things like the barrier and maintaining that in place. They would come out and inspect that every 5 years to make sure that that was in compliance with the current regulations. It would also cover things, if there was construction worker issues, we would put together essentially a management plan that would stay on file. If there was ever going to be any work done at Sedwick Park, that could be referenced. So if they knew, what they were going to be coming across, how to handle it, where to bring it if they needed to dispose it. So essentially lining up a process for dealing with this park in this area indefinitely and going into the future.
Any other questions?
I just have one question. So best case scenario, we add more soil on top and we're okay with that. Now, if we add more soil on top in all that area, how does, you have two
Yep.
feet, 2 feet difference, right?
So at the edges, we are going to move some of the soil because we still need that 3-foot depth. That's got to be consistent across that whole area. So at the edges of those zones, all along by the roadway, up by the trees, to break your heart even more, those trees are going to have to go. Sorry, because the extra soil will kill them. So we're going to have to start over up there. So, we will excavate down a total of 3 feet along the edges. That soil will probably dig a borrow pit in the middle to bury that and keep it on site. And again, that all then becomes capped with the total 3 feet of topsoil. So then that way you have feather out the grade as it connects back into the area that's lower. So there's a transition there, but we can manage that through proper grading.
And I also want to point out, right now the testing did show that it meets the requirements for subtitle D disposal, which is not as expensive, but it's really close to subtitle C. So it's my understanding that if we do try to remove some of the soil and went to the landfill and it didn't meet D, it's going to be significantly more.
Yeah, so that's essentially your municipal waste landfills, and then subtitle C would be hazardous, and that's another issue that we'd like to avoid.
The cost on that becomes astronomical. And there's not a lot of landfills nearby. I think the closest one is in
Michigan and Oklahoma.
Yeah, Michigan and Oklahoma. So,
You
just
could
from
take some of
a
your
budgetary
trash.
standpoint, we think keeping that soil on site helps keep our costs, I don't even know if manageable is the right word, but the hazardous removal is I don't even know how many times more expensive it is.
Right.
I don't even want to have that conversation with you guys. So
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions about the SRP that's in the packet? Because otherwise, when we get there, we can just move forward with a vote. Otherwise, if there's questions, please ask them now when we have the professionals here.
Well, one question about, I see the grading line looks like it's going to go right through that other soccer field. So I assume we would flip that to where the ball field is.
So that is one of the areas where we're considering actually scooping that area out because we still want to have that functional soccer field there, right? So we can scoop that out and dig a borrow pit and bury it in the old senior field and then cover that up. So it's not leaving the site. It still gets that 3-foot cap and allows us to have a functional recreation facility there. Where the senior field is now,
Yep.
we'll be able to grade that for a soccer field.
Got it, okay.
So it becomes open green space, multi-use
Okay, I'm following now.
So
Okay.
it's, it becomes soccer field. It just sits up a little higher than the rest of it. So,
Okay.
Yep.
On you have to drill for the water samples, correct?
Yeah.
How long does that take to get flushed through and to sample back and get a result for the park district?
So we can install all the wells. It'd probably take us a couple days to do that. 3 days to install the wells. We usually let them sit for a few days just to equilibrate. Then we go in and collect our samples, get results back. So it's about a 3-4 week process from installation to our final report.
Okay.
And groundwater, I will say, at the site is probably more of a minor concern. A lot of the controls to address groundwater would be more institutional, so things like restrictions and preventing groundwater use of the site, which is already in place. So for groundwater, it's more understanding the current conditions and that we can show the EPA, but we don't really intend to do any remediation or any focus with groundwater, whatever conditions that are really going to remain.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
All right, should we move on?
Well, thank you for coming tonight.
You're
We
welcome.
appreciate.
You wake up in the middle of the night in a full sweat and have a question, write it down, give it to Jen.
There, you get the lights. Thanks.
All right,
Thank you. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks.
let's move to agenda item 4.0. Consent agenda. I am looking for approval of the minutes of the public hearing, April 21st, 2025. Approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting, April 21st, 2025. Approval of the financial reports dated April 30th, 2025. And approval of the consolidated vouchers for May dated May 12th, 2025.
So moved.
Was that
Chris?
Chris?
Yeah,
Sorry. Okay, Commissioner Posey,
Yes.
Commissioner Weber,
Yes.
Commissioner Carter,
Same.
Commissioner Veer,
Yes.
President Opid.
Yes, let's move to 5.0, the staff reports. This evening we'll start with the director's report.
Perfect. No, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I mean, you're welcome to stay.
It's riveting as always.
Okay, so I wanted to remind, this is all in my report, but just a reminder that the annual meeting is June, our annual meeting, so we will elect officers at that meeting. I did want to give the board an update. I did speak with Jack Yelnick, and he was very pleased about the naming, the combining of Burson Yelnick Field. And he's going to put me in contact with the Burson family. So he felt that it would be no problem. They're like related. Yeah.
I guess they are.
Yeah. So I think it's his sister is married to Scott Burson,
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
Mr. Burson's dad. So anyways, small family. So I'll keep you posted on that, but it sounds like we're good in that area. Also in my report, I just wanted to make note that the change order came in at $107,149.62 for what we found instead of clay is they're going to bring in stone, and that was cheaper and will be just as effective. And it also includes removing that foundation and then capping the hydrants. There's those yellow hydrants throughout our parks that are old and not used, so we're going to cap those. So we were able to get it down by about $35,000, so we were pleased with that. The underground gas tank project is complete. How exciting is that? We have a no further remediation, and the total cost to the Park District was $3,049.78, which I think is pretty darn good for the project was over $100,000. So I'm excited about that. We also locked in electric. It came in 1.5% higher than presented at the board meeting that next Tuesday morning, but we were still pleased with the number of 0.05198 cents. And now we're good for electric through August of 2028, and our natural gas is good through June 30th of 2027. The last thing I want to touch upon is IPRA did get back to us, and we offered the swap situation where they moved down to the smaller location. They have decided that wouldn't work for them, and they did decide that they're going to move forward with their other location that they found. They did have some requests. They would still like to keep their storage here, as I mentioned before. We have no problem with them keeping their storage here. They did ask for a fence to be put around their items. We have no problem with that, but they would be responsible for installing. They would have to submit a plan to us as to what that would look like, and they would be responsible for the costs. And then they also requested that they be able to have items delivered for conference and that we sign them and move them to their storage. That we have some concerns with. They can definitely have things delivered and we can sign them, but they would need to come and move their items and be responsible for their items. So our recommendation would be to have them install the fence if they'd like, and then if they have deliveries, they are responsible for their deliveries and we would notify them. We do a similar process with Secret Santa, so it's staying consistent with how we operate. So I was going to, as long as the board was okay, let them know that would be what we could offer them, and we would get 12 memberships. So the memberships are about $300, so it's a significant benefit to us too. And they did offer to sell us some furniture, but we are still kind of determining what we're going to do with the space and what we'll need. So we have to look at their furniture. We haven't had a chance to look at it. So any questions about that? No? Okay.
All right, so I hear consensus to move forward with that?
Yes.
Okay.
What's the length of term? Is it month to month for the storage?
We would put together an agreement. It would probably be an annual agreement. Yeah, good question. But yes, it would be something that would come before the board for approval. Anything that involves space within the recreation center has to get board approval, no matter what the term. Sometimes the board approves anything over 2 years, depending on it, but this would, because it's space related, needs board approval.
How much space do they use for storage?
It's the contract that we have right now says 500 square feet. I don't know. We never measured that, did we? Their storage space in the, yeah, it's supposed to be 500 square feet. So. That's all I have.
All right, so let's move to Jamie for the finance and HR update.
I just wanted to mention a couple of things that are in my report. The FY 25-26 budget was uploaded in code for our May 1 start, so it did hit on time. And then our audit, I can't believe it's already back, but it's back. They will be starting their preliminary audit on May 29th with on-site work beginning the week of June 9th. I'm anticipating they'll probably only need to be on site 2 or 3 days during the week of June 9th. And, as soon as their link becomes available, I'll start, kind of uploading all of the documents that they're requesting. So keeping the board informed that it is audit time again. Other than that, if anyone has questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Seeing no questions, I believe, why don't we move to Kevin for the recreation report?
Just to remind you guys, Pet Parade is the 31st, so we have not received our position in the lineup yet, so once we get that, Jenny will forward that on to you all. Happy to have as many of you and your families attend as possible. How about? Recreation Department is getting some of our programs up and running. Most of our programs are about a week or 2 weeks in. May is a slower session just because schools are still in session, but we are seeing significant enrollments for June and July, so that's a good thing. Staff's also getting ready for our summer day camps, so those are set to go on June 9th. Base registration opened up the week of the 28th. I did give you an additional handout with updated base numbers for registration. Those have changed slightly since I put the numbers in last Thursday. So the sites that did change were Congress Park, Forest Road, and so enrollment is a little slower than we would like right now. We are sending out emails. I've been working the program. I've been talking to parents. Some of them didn't know registration was going on, so they don't read their emails. So we're making some headway there, but just want to let you guys know it is slower than we would like at the moment, but we're working on that. Jamie and I have been doing interviews for the recreation supervisor position. We are into second rounds now. Jenny and I are. So we are hoping to wrap that up this week and then potentially have someone start the week of June 2nd is our anticipation. Lastly, two more points. Katie Wagner, our marketing specialist, she had developed a program for hopscotch in the park. So there are several sites that are getting these, they're essentially vinyl stickers put on the sidewalk. We had one installed today at Sedwick. Looks really cool, so I encourage you guys to go out and check those 4 parks to see what they look like. It's a unique program, so we're excited to get that going. And then at the end of my report is the Winter Spring 25 end of season report. So I can entertain any questions on that or anything else within the report for the rest of
Just that performing arts, that reduction is all based on dance?
No. So dance left in December of 23. So this would be with some other contractors. So our youth improv theater contractor cut back some of her classes. And then Tiny Toes Music was a music contractor in the same vein as Rockin' Kids, but a little bit different format. They had offered about 16 to 18 classes in Winter Spring 24. They did not come back. The enrollment just wasn't what they were anticipating. So they opted to not host in our facility anymore.
Kevin, a couple things. One, on the summer day camps, I think these programs are by ages, if I'm right. I would love maybe next time you could put just the age bracket underneath, so I remember, because I can never remember, just to see where where the focus is. The other thing I wanted to share with you, I was in the gym a couple weeks ago for the tennis program on Wednesdays, which my son loves. It's great for the little ones. And I was mentioning to my wife and to Jenny as well, schools are out early on Wednesdays, right? They're out at like 2:30.
Correct.
So I'm wondering, have we ever explored like some earlier programming on Wednesdays just to meet that need? Is that something we should consider?
It's something we can look into, yeah.
Okay. I feel like there'd be a strong, there could be a demand. I don't know if there is, but the kids are running around anyway, so if the parents can drop them off and have them do something fun, it would be amazing. Anything else for Kevin? Oh, I did want to say the Easter egg hunt was fantastic, by the way. It was a nice turnout for that. Really great event. All right. If nothing else for Kevin, we move on to Mike to talk about operations and facilities.
Good evening, everybody. So the first section covers going over the fitness center at the Recreation Center. So we did some numbers in comparison to where we were at last year in categories.
Mike, can you talk into the microphone?
New members,
Thanks.
revenue, and also visits, which were all increases from this time last year. So that's just one highlight I want to point out. We have more members than we did at this time last year, generating more revenue through personal training, and then also overall facility usage and visits were up as well. So those are all positives from there. The next part of the report is just going to be a summary of the total rentals we have, including here at the Recreation Center, including court rentals, but then also outdoor rentals as well. Any questions on either of those two sections? Then just one highlight for miscellaneous stuff pertaining to facilities. Myself and the custodial staff did have Warehouse Direct come out and demo some floor cleaning equipment for us that we had some room in our budget to purchase at the end of last year, or end of this fiscal year, I should say. So we were able to purchase a new walk-behind floor machine and then also a portable iMop scrubber. So the floor machine should be built and delivered by the end of this month. And then iMop is currently in use, and staff are learning how to use it and how we could optimize the cleaning strategies throughout the facility.
Any questions for Mike?
Any questions?
All right. Let's move on and hear from Larry regarding parks and maintenance.
Hello. We have an HVAC update for Community Center and Gilbert. Those condenser units will be delivered end of May. Work will start quickly after that, be pretty non-invasive. The work's just going to move quickly through there. Rec Center units will be delivered end of June. They should arrive at the beginning of May. For here, they'll be stored in the south side of the parking lot, and then we'll just coordinate the work with that. Water at all locations at the parks have been turned on. Some water fountains need repairs. And then there's one issue with Gordon lights at the ball fields. There are 3 light towers that are just blinking. And there's a long run, like 470 feet of 480 volt wire. It's just burned up in several spots. So we're looking to abandon that line and just start with directional bore, 2 access points, just rewire those lines.
We'll talk about that later in the board meeting. It's an agenda item.
Okay, great. Additional questions for Larry? All right, seeing none, let's move on to our action items. We'll start with Memorandum M25-025, which is the discussion and or approval of policy section 284, child and vulnerable adult abuse prevention policy.
Thanks. So Jamie and I worked with legal counsel to get this new policy put together. I want to stress that we've really been doing this, but we haven't had a formal policy. We do require that all of our staff go through the appropriate training, but this has just put everything into one nice policy. And so it really helps with some legal and regulatory compliance, consistency. Again, we worked with our legal counsel, and this is also best practice from PDERMA. So PDERMA is really what's driving this. Back quite some time ago, PDERMA used to do, which is Park District Risk Management Agency, our insurance. They used to do these very in-depth reviews, and you'd have to do it every 3 or 4 years based on what score you received. And they kind of went away from that, and now they're bringing it back in a less invasive form. It was pretty intense. So we're in that process, and this is one of the policies that they're kind of requiring. So that is why we are bringing this forward. Happy to answer any questions.
If there are no questions, I would ask for a motion to approve the changes or addition of policy section 284, child and vulnerable adult abuse prevention policy.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Veer?
Yes.
Commissioner Posey?
Yes.
Commissioner Carter?
Yes.
Commissioner Weber?
Yes.
President Opeth?
Yes. All right, we'll move to board business. 7.1, discussion and/or approval of site remediation program proposal, Testing Service Corporation. This again is something we discussed a little bit earlier tonight. You want to add any additional flavor to that, Jenny?
I don't. Again, staff is recommending this. We just definitely want to make sure that we're meeting the EPA's requirements and keeping the park safe for the future generations.
So this vote is just to vote to test it more.
Correct.
That's it.
Yep, it's just for this proposal here, for the SRP, the Site Remediation Program.
Basically digging holes.
So I would be looking for a motion to approve the site remediation program proposal by Testing Services Corporation. And I do think that has a dollar amount attached to it. Do we need to?
$43,260.
So to that amount?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Posey?
Yes.
Commissioner Weber?
Yes.
Commissioner Carter?
Yes.
Commissioner Veer?
Yes.
President Opeth?
Yes. All right, 7.2, discussion and/or approval of the first amendment to license agreement for the Recreation Center baseball facilities with the White Sox Ltd.
Yes, so this is it's an amendment. I put in the White Sox current agreement. It's just an amendment to that. We did have these different rolling terms before, but the White Sox asked to go just to an annual agreement, just kind of based on some of the changes that they're doing. So we made it for a 1 year, extending the current license 1 year, November 1st, 2025 through October 31st, 2026. And then they have an option to renew 1 additional year. And then we'll kind of see where we're at that point. So these changes are based on their recommendations too.
So moved.
So we have a motion to approve by Chris.
Second.
Second by Brad.
Okay, Commissioner Weber?
Yep.
Commissioner Carter? Commissioner Posey?
Yes.
Commissioner Veer?
Yes.
President Opeth?
Yes. 7.3, review of bid results for 2024 referendum, Group A, number 1, facilities.
Okay, so first bid came in, and because we have the construction manager, they bid it out by subcontractor, so that's how we end up getting the best price, because we're not getting increases by them, the general manager, subbing it out. So as you can see, the bids came back. I put all the bid tabulation sheets. We had a total of 25 subcontractors. Many of the different trades had 2 or 3. Some of them did only have 1. The good news is that White has worked with all of the contractors that did bid. Currently 6 out of the 8 are working on jobs for them, so they feel confident with the bids that we've received. They've thoroughly vetted them, and everything met compliance. So there is no action on this. This is just more for transparency, just to show the board. All this is posted on our website. We do have a bid and proposal page on our website, so everything is posted. So the total bid did come in at $704,925. we did have a budget closer to about 630,000, 635,000, but we have been adding things as we go, so I'm not surprised by the little bit of increase there. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, seeing no questions, let's move to 7.4, discussion and/or approval of electrical work at Gordon Park. I think this is going back to the lighting issues.
It is. So Larry kind of explained, it seems like maybe the electrical was maybe not done the proper way. So we need to try to get that corrected. So we do have one quote, and it's from Lyons Pinner, and it came in at the amount of $26,700. So this came in after the board packet, so this is kind of why the memo is kind of very vague. But based on that amount, we are going to try to get a second quote. Maybe even a third quote. We've reached out to 3 other companies. In speaking with Kevin, based on programming, we are okay in the current situation we're in. Those 3 lights have been turned off for safety, and then we are scheduling late games on the other field. Yeah, the north field. So this is the south field that's affected right now. So it's my understanding that we don't have a sense of urgency, and we can spend a little more time doing our due diligence. It is under the bid amount, so we don't have to go out to bid. It is also an emergency, so even if it did exceed the bid, we could get it fixed through the emergency process. But we just wanted the board to be aware that we will be adding this into our capital budget. We do have $25,000 budgeted in paving and lighting, so we'll tap into that first. So hopefully we can cover it all there. But if not, we may have to go a little bit. Well, we will. If it doesn't go under $25,000, we will have to use a little bit of our contingency. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
The original contractor, do we have the name of that contractor?
No, I'd have to
It's only
do
10,
some
12 years ago, right?
digging there. We can look back. We just got this
I'm
on
saying,
Friday.
and maybe he would be willing to
Yeah,
give us a good deal.
we can look. We can look. I don't know that I want them doing the work,
I mean,
but
well, that's the other thing going forward. If they don't,
right. Yeah, we can try to see who did it.
Okay, but as of today, there's no action because you're still getting
No
calls,
action,
right?
yeah, and again, it falls within our spending authority. We weren't sure because we didn't have the quote, we didn't
Right.
know where it was going to be,
Right.
so we just wanted to have an action item an item on the agenda in case we needed action. So we'll continue to keep the board posted.
Any other questions on that? All right, let's round this out. So we'll go to 8.0 then, committee reports. Anything from the administration committee?
none.
Okay. Parks and facilities, I don't believe we have any updates. Recreation and cultural programming.
I talked to Katie Wagner last week. I'm not sure if she's reached out to you, Jenny, but she and I have talked casually about how we have a lot of blank walls in the park building, and wouldn't it be nice to find some murals to paint in and bring some fun to the walls. So she and I would like to meet at some point with Jenny or whoever is appropriate to kind of start looking into that process. Through my work, I have contacts with professional muralists that I'm sure would be delighted to, or would be interested in this project. So.
Okay, thanks.
All right. This is now agenda item 9.0. This is public comments. This is the second opportunity this evening for comments. So if you do have a comment, I'd kindly invite you to state your name and address, and you can address the board. Just remind you, it's not a Q&A session. It's just to share whatever you'd like with the board at this point in time. So I'll open the floor.
Hi, everybody. Rose Missy, 911 Southstone. Congratulations. Thank you to everybody for serving. None of this happens if we don't have a board. So I really do appreciate your consideration of all of this. Remediation and sad news about that. I guess I just have one comment about adding the soil, just drainage, right? How to with the flooding in the village, just to me that's always a consideration. How is that water going to move? Where is it going to go? Is there any way to capture it? But I know some trees will be removed. You know, that's not, unavoidable, it sounds like, but is there some way to put, can't really put a lot of deep-rooted plants? I don't know, maybe you can. What can you do where the water, sounds like it's gonna be draining more, no, it might be draining outward, because that's gonna be the lower spot around the perimeter. So how, I would just consider that. And just a reminder, I saw someone on the way over had, it looked like a Roomba, the lawnmower, the electric little machine, and my neighbor, it looks like he had a remote control with it. So then I just wanted to remind you about electrification. Is there, any movement? I don't know. I don't know all the costs involved, but if there's just general movement toward electrification of some of the yard equipment, that would be a great environmental improvement for the blowers and the mowers. And then, just since you mentioned the mural, I wonder if you ever considered a living wall inside the rec center, with plants. And a lot of people look at I take pictures everywhere I go. That might be a fun installation for the rec center. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comment?
My name is Marty Kalik, 616 Selborne, Riverside. Just here representing UISO 300. I'm no Derek Jansen or Drew McGilliard, but be more of a presence at these meetings, and thank you guys for everything you do. Obviously our registration is large, and the kids are enjoying it, and they enjoy soccer, so that's all I want to share. So thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move to board comments this evening. Why don't we start with not Brad? just so he can see the flow.
Appreciate that.
We won't put him in the hot seat just yet.
You don't have to make a comment
Yeah, you don't
either.
have to
It's
make a
okay.
I'd just like to welcome Brad to the board.
I'd also like to welcome back Brad to the team. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
I'd also welcome Brad and she didn't stay for the whole meeting?
She's got a liquor commission meeting.
Oh, she's
and
got
then,
a meeting tonight.
Yeah.
She's but welcome. I guess that's it.
I'll just say welcome
I think I
too. It's
turned
great
it
to
off.
have you here.
I turned- Sorry.
And, welcome, Brad. And finally, I just want to remind everyone, summer is coming. Let's encourage the kids to get out there and use the green spaces that they can. I know we do have a little bit of a lack of green spaces because of some of the construction, but I think the staff's probably going to do the best they can to keep everything as open as it can be, and I'm excited about the upcoming warmer weather. So looking forward to summer. It's finally here. All right, I do not believe there are any executive session topics this evening, so we'll skip that. And I will ask for a motion to adjourn, please.
I guess I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Good night.